this is a very special occasion for us here at the University of Limerick. It offers us a wonderful opportunity to recognise the contributions that our students make locally, regionally, nationally and internationally. During this academic year, UL students contributed 10,500 hours of their time to volunteering work. And since the establishment of this President's Volunteer Award scheme back in 2010, over 24,000 volunteer hours have been documented, and student volunteering is now the largest civic engagement activity here on the campus. This year, the number of award recipients has again increased, as has the volume of student volunteering activity. Undergraduate, postgraduate, international, Erasmus and study abroad students are all represented in our recipients this year. Indeed, there has been a significant increase in the number of international students receiving awards, which truly highlights that our international students are embracing life at UL, getting involved in our activities and reaping the benefits. And I think that this is one of the reasons why, in a survey of international students carried out last year, we won the awards for Best Student Experience and Warmest Welcome. Today's event is to formally thank all our recipients for representing the University of Limerick and illustrating that UL students are capable of using their talents, their academic expertise and their social entrepreneurship skills to benefit others. And I am very proud of every one of them here today. I feel that I must acknowledge that UL students have been making contributions to UL, the community and society for many, many years before the introduction of this award scheme. Both here on campus through activities with clubs and societies, and off campus in disadvantaged communities, raising funds for international causes and a whole host of other activities. Increasing the voluntary activity of our students is a vital part of achieving the goals of the UL Strategic Plan, Pioneering and Connected. It will also offer many charitable and community-based organisations increasing access to the university community to assist them in meeting their current needs. This is more important now than ever with the age of austerity that we are all living through. While volunteering is an important part of achieving the goals of the university and of immense benefit to the organisations involved, its benefits are far from one-sided. Volunteering will contribute positively to our students' personal development, as well as offering them the opportunity to grow further skills that, along with their academic achievements, will make them not only attractive employees, but better citizens of Ireland and of the world. Skills such as team building, communication, political insights, and collaborative problem solving. My old friend Winston Churchill once said, and I quote, "We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give." To participate in a programme such as the President's Volunteer Awards takes great commitment. Given the deadlines, essays, exams and projects that our UL students are faced with each semester, this level of commitment is truly admirable. To our students and new graduates who are here today, you are to be commended for sharing your limited free time in this way. This university is very, very proud of you. You exemplify the true spirit of UL, and I am personally delighted to be here today to award you with your well-deserved President's Volunteer Awards. I want to thank the people involved in the President's Volunteer Award programme, which is coordinated from the Community Liaison Office in the Student Affairs Division. To date, this office has engaged with over 170 volunteer organisations, and as the demand for volunteering opportunities increases among the student body, so too does the number of organisations engaging with UL. In particular, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our Community Liaison Officer, Gabriella Hanrahan, for all her work in this regard. The Community Liaison Office here at UL is also leading the national working group on student volunteering and student-led engagement, and I look forward to seeing the fruits of their work in the years ahead. And now it gives me a particular pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, John Lonergan. John entered the prison service in 1968, and in the years that followed he developed a deep understanding both of human nature and of Irish society. Now, after 42 years in the service, 24 of them as the most senior prison officer in the country, John has told his fascinating life story from his idyllic childhood in rural Tipperary to the life in the prison service in his book called The Governor, which if you read it you will see that it gives a unique insight into modern Ireland, the good things about modern Ireland and the not so good. So it gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to ask you to please welcome John Lonergan.
President Don, ladies and gentlemen, and particularly volunteers, first of all, it's a great honour for me to be invited to Limerick. I have a long association with Limerick. I come from Bancha in West Tipperary. Some of you would have at least passed through it, and maybe you didn't even notice it is so small and so insignificant. But it had a long association, believe it or not, with Limerick way back since the 1940s, because our local parish priest in those days came from Maru, County Limerick. It was none other than Canon Hayes. But in addition to be the parish priest of Bancha, and before that the curate in Tipperary town, he became nationally and internationally famous because he founded an organisation called Muintir na Tíre. And Muintir na Tíre was all about the development and the sustainment of communities throughout rural Ireland. And the underpinning philosophy of Canon Hayes and Muintir na Tíre was voluntary work, volunteers, giving to your community. He summarised a community way back 75 years ago as a social mix of equals. This was before, all the modern terms like social inclusion or social exclusion or any of those terms or jargon words and descriptions were thought about. A social mix of equals. And his philosophy was built around caring and sharing. The caring bit is very obvious, to care for others. And the sharing bit was mainly about sharing your time. He put a great emphasis on that, because the easy thing to do is often to share money. It's easy to give a contribution to something, 20, 30, 50, 100,000 euros, doesn't matter. That's the easy bit really. If you have the money, it's easy to give it. The real challenge is giving of your time. And that's why this scheme is so important and so significant. It is a wonderful idea to have third level students going out into the community and reaching out and connecting with the community in so many different ways. And the real winners are not the communities. The real winners are the students who undertake this work. I'm absolutely certain of this. And I bet every one of the volunteers that are here today and that were here the previous 2 years, I bet every single one of them would agree with that. You have got, I bet, far more from it than you gave to it. And that old famous saying is, the more you give, the more you receive, was very much based on that philosophy. I bet you have learned a lot about life, but you have probably learned the most about yourself. You learn so much about yourself when you're put in contact with experiences and with situations that you may never have had the opportunity to have that experience previously. Like social deprivation. You learn so much about what life is for other people when you go into communities where there's significant social alienation and seclusion and suffering. Because there is such a thing in Ireland today as human suffering, where people are struggling just to live and to survive. You put in contact with people of different age groups, the elderly, different cultures, different situations. And in every one of them, for most people, it's a new experience. And every experience in life is a learning experience if you make it such. And that's what the wonderful thing is about it. I came across this little bit of philosophy that was written 600 years before Christ. It was written by a Chinese guy. And it was about voluntary work, and it was about reaching out to communities, and it was about leadership. And he described in a very short few words what it's all about really. And I want to share this philosophy with you, because I think that if you live by it, then you will be a fantastic volunteer and a fantastic leader. And what he said, and I must emphasize again, 600 years before Christ, he said, go to the people, live with them, love them. Start with what they know, build with what they have. But with the great leaders, when the work is done, the task accomplished, the people will say, we've done this ourselves. I want you to think about that. We have done this ourselves. That's the wonderful skill of going out and reaching out, supporting and encouraging other people, and bringing them and helping them to a stage where they're able to take control themselves, and then you just moving aside. The work completed. But no ego or no big deal about it. Indeed, I say the greatest volunteers and the greatest approach to volunteering is to have no expectation of thanks, of appreciation, of nothing. That's really when it's enriching. Because the first question and the last question is, am I making a difference? And you sure are. Every single hour that you have put in those 10,500 hours have made a significant difference to other people. And that's the greatest of all the satisfactions. And days like this are tremendous, because it is very important that a university like this, who promote this whole concept, would also celebrate achievement. Because human beings love celebration. All of us. There's none of us that don't like to be celebrated. It's a human thing. It improves our self-esteem, and it gives us great satisfaction to be. But I would argue that the real purpose of doing it is because it's the right thing to do. Because a society should be built around that, sharing and caring with others. See, people don't realise sometimes how fortunate we are to be born into the circumstances that we're fortunately born into by pure accident. Some born into fantastic positive surroundings, great families, great supports, great facilities, great personal gifts, and the biggest of all, wonderful opportunity. Every person who comes into this university, 12,000 plus now, that's an amazing opportunity. But not everybody gets that opportunity. And in prison what I learned was that so many were there because they lacked and never were given opportunity. I met some of the most gifted people that I ever met in the world so far in prison. But the sad thing was, they weren't conscious of their talent or ability. They were never exposed to it. It was never nurtured and developed, and therefore it was a lost talent. And that's, I suppose, the message I would make, that you have been so fortunate to be selected in life to come to university here in Limerick, and to be so fortunate to be able to sign on as a volunteer, and to be so fortunate to be welcomed into communities and into homes and by individuals to share their lives. That's fantastic. The President mentioned Clare, but David Fitzgerald, in an interview after the All-Ireland, was talking about the immediate aftermath of their defeat by Cork in the All-Ireland semi-final, or in the Munster semi-final. And he said he brought the players that played, all 19 of them, to his home to talk and reflect about the match. And he said the reason for that was that, my home is a very special place, and only my best friends come to my home. Only the people dearest to me come to my home. So he was sending a signal out. You are my family. You are my friends. You are close to me. You are the same as my family. And that's what has happened to you as well. You have been welcomed into people's homes and into people's communities. So it has been a fantastic project. And our future, I believe will depend a lot, as Canon Hayes was talking about 75 years ago. A huge amount of the future of our country must depend on that, the sharing of our gifts with others, help reaching out to others, making a difference, not trying to force change, because you can't force change, but what you can do is you can nurture it. And nurturing is a word that I love, because it's all about supporting and encouraging and facilitating the growth and the development of others, step by step at their pace, sharing your expertise and your knowledge. But encouragement, I'd say, is the most important of all. Encouraging people, a belief that you have the capacity. So that's the difference. You'll never probably ever know the full difference that you made, because you'll never ever obviously be in a position to be able to measure it later on. But if you changed helped to change the lives of one person, just one person, during your project in this volunteer campaign, well, then you will have made a massive difference. Not just to one present individual person, but to future generations of that family as well. So it's fantastic. I think the project itself is a great idea. I believe it should be nationally based because of that. When I go to secondary schools, I always say to sixth-year students, even in their leaving cert year, I always say, dedicate 1 hour every week to something voluntary. It might be helping a fellow student. If you happen to be blessed, for instance, with maths, maybe you should help someone that struggles with maths. And on the day of the leaving cert results, I always say to them, I bet you'll get far greater satisfaction out of the results of the person you helped than your own results. Why? Because you know that you have made a difference to others. That is a wonderful human feeling. And life is all about feeling. And the more positive we feel and the better we feel, the better life is. So it's obviously a wonderful occasion, it is a wonderful scheme, and you have made a huge difference. And I'm going to finish off with a little reflection, because it's also an example to other students. What you do is an example to others. You study, you do all your own work, and then you make time for others. And every single one of us we have that choice. We have the choice of whether we'll make time for others or whether we'll to keep it all for ourselves. And this is called example. And you are an example, and it's very appropriate for me to dedicate it to you and to all the people supporting the scheme and organising the scheme. And it's called example. It said, I'd rather see a lesson than to hear one any day. I'd rather you walk with me than to merely show me the way. The eye's a better teacher and more willing than the ear, and counsel is confusing, but example's always clear. The best of all the teachers are the ones who live the creed. To see good put into action is what everybody needs. I soon can learn to do it if you let me see it done. I can see your hand in action, but your tongue too fast may run. And the counsel you are giving may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lesson by observing what you do. Thank you very much.
My name's Jennifer Maroney Ward and I manage the Learning Hub here in Limerick. We're based in Keneally, but we serve schools and young people from all over the north side of the city. The Learning Hub was set up primarily to address early school leaving and to encourage young people to kind of value mainstream education and also to see kind of that learning is for life. What we do in terms of volunteering is we look for third level students to give us their time, to work in teams generally and to work on projects that we help to support them set up. UL connection, which is a very strong connection with the Learning Hub. In fact, the majority of our volunteers are coming from UL at the moment. We have really strong volunteering connections with science in particular, with music and with creative writing in terms of Story Hub. That's what UL volunteering does for us, and we actually can't run those projects without volunteers.
I'm Clodagh Green, I study industrial biochemistry. I'm in my second year, and at the Hub I run a maths group with secondary school kids and primary school kids.
What we want to do, I suppose, is support kids in an extended school day. So they come here after school, they come here during the school holidays. Sometimes schools come here during the school day for extra projects as well.
Volunteering at the Limerick Learning Hub fitted around my personal life, as I could come down in the afternoons after I'd finished college and help everyone out. If someone came to me and asked me about getting involved in volunteering, I would say to them to pick something that they have an interest in, whether it's science or maths or sport, and bring a positive attitude to what they're doing so people that need help in certain subjects can excel.
Well, my name is Sean O'Brien. I studied the Bachelor of Science Education in Physical Sciences in UL, and as part of that course I had to do a final year project. So I actually teamed up with the Learning Hub to do my final year project on the Science Hub. I really love volunteering here, so I actually kind of actively sought out more hours here when I finished college, and then I was able to get a job here and I love it here. My main role really is I kind of recruit children first of all to come join our clubs, and I work closely with the schools in the area as well, kind of bringing them in, getting them involved with the Science Hub and the Story Hub as well, which is our creative writing programme. And then the second biggest part of my job is liaising with UL really about volunteers. A lot of our volunteers here would be education students from UL, or students from other courses as well. Actually, a lot of courses are involved here. So I would do a lot of work with kind of recruiting volunteers, training them, getting them involved, seeing what they can do. Do you know what I mean? I think it's important for them as well to have somewhere they want to volunteer. They're always welcome out here as well, which is good.
The Learning Hub is funded by numerous different partners. We're a charity, limited by guarantee. So we, like many other organisations in the community and voluntary sector, have experienced a lot of cuts in the last few years. So never more have we relied on volunteers to help us run the number of projects that we run here. And we're really proud of the fact that we haven't reduced our capacity to run projects here, and that's entirely down to the number of volunteer hours that we get. I think last year in total we had 11,500 volunteer hours. Many of those were from UL students, and again with that impact it means that we don't have a reduced service regardless of the cuts that we've experienced.
My name is Colin Fitzpatrick. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Electronic and Computer Engineering here at UL. I'm also a member of the UL Environmental Committee, and it's the UL Environmental Committee that runs the UL Community Roof Garden where we are today. So what's unique about the Community Roof Garden is that it's everybody here is a volunteer. So it's very unlike any type of other learning environment on campus. Everybody's got their own experience to bring. We share many different backgrounds, different countries, different ages, and it's just a very nice leveller that there's not just one professor or lecturer at the top who has all the knowledge that gives it out. Everybody here can share what they have.
My name is Martin Ruwe. I come from Bulgaria. It's my second year here in Ireland at the moment, and I'm enrolled in the graduate entry medical school at the University of Limerick. Outside of my studies, I try to get involved as much as I can in volunteering and in the community overall. So one of my passions is community gardening. Here at the moment we're on the top of the main building of the University of Limerick with this beautiful garden. And also I am involved in the Irish Forum for Global Health, which is a kind of a new organisation in Ireland which has started recently. And I'm trying to promote the idea of global health in this university specifically. At the garden, I mean, it's just started about 10-11 months ago, and it's the first year the garden's existed, really. So we meet up every week, once a week, in order to get together and do some gardening together. The reason why I volunteer basically is because kind of volunteering gives you access to the community, really, and enables you to get to know the local area where you live in as much as you can, and just the interaction with the people is really priceless. And obviously just the academic side of university does not really give you that extra benefit in the community. The volunteering definitely provides the edge.
The UL Environmental Committee, we try to start projects around campus that help people to think about the environment and sustainability through their daily actions and what they do. So we think that gardening is a really excellent example of this. It allows people to think about where the food they eat actually comes from, what's the environmental impact of it, and also to do it in a kind of a social space where people can come together, have some fun, make new friends, and learn from their colleagues, peers, and others who are here all about gardening.
10 people have worked in this garden and they have produced such an amazing result through volunteering. And why not translate such work into the areas of the campus even where there's so much space, empty available space, and even into the city and even internationally. This would be something extremely beneficial for everyone.
With the Environmental Committee we have so many ideas about the types of projects we'd like to run. But of course to get an idea off the ground it needs lots of help, lots of input, and without the volunteering effort of everyone involved, this would be still just an empty space.
My name is Jackie Flynn. I'm the Social and Recreational Coordinator of Lakes Nursing Home in Killaloe in County Clare. We came to learn about the President Volunteer Award through Hope in Motion. Hope in Motion is an organisation that we've been dealing very closely with through a lovely lady called Michelle Royce. She recently came to us with a lovely project called Adopt a Grandparent. Adopt a Grandparent was based on having the university students coming in on a voluntary basis for several hours a week and getting to learn the history and interests and hobbies of our residents.
My name is Michelle Royce and I'm studying at the University of Limerick, Business Studies, and I'm the co-founder of Hope in Motion, which is a voluntary organisation based in Limerick. Projects that we do with Hope in Motion is visiting nursing homes, bringing the students from the university with a project called Adopt a Grandparent, where the students have the opportunity to meet personally with the residents of different nursing homes in the area of Limerick. So we really like to have students that can come and volunteer with us to be able to make a difference in other people's life and in their own life as well. That's why Hope in Motion was created, to be able to link students and volunteers to the older generation. There's a lot to be gained from it, lots of stories, a lot of amazing experiences that you can hear and listen when you just take the time to come and meet them personally.
We found our seniors were able to open up more to our volunteers, and they felt that they were naturally falling into the role of being and reliving the memories of being a grandparent. We found that they trusted them, and as caregivers and nurses and as an activity coordinator myself, the information we found we were then able to carry through and literally perfect our care plans for caring for them to make sure that they had all the happiness and treatment they deserved.
One of the benefits is that it links students with the older generation. A lot of time they might be missing their grandparents or loved ones, but being able to connect in a personal way with a resident in a nursing home has been very beneficial for them, and a lot of them want to continue coming. Especially the international students have been very faithful to come along with us.
Adopt a Grandparent has proven to be a tremendous success at Lakes Nursing Home, so much so that I, as the activity coordinator, shall be putting it to our new management to see whether we can carry this out in further sister nursing homes throughout the country. Not only has it elevated the lives of our residents, it has also been very helpful with our caregivers and nurses, thus resulting in that we can form more loving, forming, bonding friendships with our residents and give them a closer connection and make them feel that they are a part of our extended family.
Hope in Motion works in collaboration with the President Volunteer Award to be able to get students that can volunteer for us and help our projects grow and expand.
The Adopt a Grandparent project turned out to be a huge success, and we would dearly appreciate more input from students in universities throughout the country. We feel that residents have such a lot of valuable information to give us, even in learning steps through our own lives, and the happiness and delight that you see in the residents' eyes with the students sitting there and forming that friendship is invaluable.
My name is Sheila Niaragon. I'm originally from Lispool, just outside Dingle in West Kerry, and 16 years ago I moved up here for a teaching job in Innis Community College, Gaelcolocht in Clore. I started a rowing project in the school and then founded Fergus Rowing Club, which is based in Clare Castle. 3 years ago, JCSP, which is an initiative in the schools in Ennis Community College, gave us funding to build a curragh in schools. So James Madigan, a local boat builder, came into the school and we had 10 kids working in it. The connection to the President's Volunteer Award is through Kyron Brigdale, who is the daughter of Alex Brigdale. Kyron has been doing a training programme with us every Saturday from the 1st of March until the 1st of June, and she's a student of mine in Clough. So Alex then got involved because Kyron, his daughter, was involved in the rowing, and from that he's been doing volunteering, teaching some of our fellow rowers who have started after him how to row.
Hi, I'm Alex Brigdale. I've just graduated from UL and I got a degree in New Media and English. I first joined the Fergus Rowing Club because my daughter was here, and I help out because it seemed natural to me to come down and do so. I help out on Wednesday nights with beginners night. I help people to row. I help out getting the boats up and down from the quay. I get a great amount of enjoyment from it. It's 2 hours out of my life every week, and it's great fun. It doesn't impact on your study. You could spend 2 hours sitting in front of the television watching a movie, whereas if you join a club and participate, you can build friendships, you can have great fun, and it's really no effort.
This started off as a very small club, and I suppose like anything that grows, when the numbers grow, you need more and more people helping out and training people in. So every Wednesday night we have a beginners night, and without our volunteers those nights would not work. So the volunteers come down and take out beginner rowers and show them how to set the stroke and get into it, and they pick up the bug like the rest of us, and it becomes a real passion.
It's a great personal achievement to watch them grow as rowers, and you kind of live vicariously through them, so it's wonderful to see it. I really would encourage anybody to take up volunteering in their community. It helps to build a community spirit, and it really takes no effort. And you're further rewarded then by a certificate from the President, which will boost your CV in later life.
Well, first of all, I would just like to once again congratulate everyone who's just come up to receive their awards. Well done to everybody, and I think they all deserve one final round of applause. And now it's time to present the Outstanding Achievement Award. The purpose of the Outstanding Achievement Award is to recognise students who have made an exceptional contribution to the community through volunteering. Recipients are selected based on a reflective portfolio that they have to prepare and submit. And I just want to thank the members of the working group who spent a lot of time and effort in evaluating each application thoroughly and independently, and then selecting recipients. So this year, 2013, one student stood out in terms of her commitment to volunteering. And so today I want to honour Gillian McMahon for her outstanding contribution, and I'm just going to ask Bernadette to give us an insight into the work that Gillian has been doing, and then we'll ask Gillian to come up to accept the Outstanding Achievement Award.
Thank you, Don. I suppose first and foremost, as chair of the President's Volunteer Award, I would just like to say a sincere thank you to the members of the working group, and a special thank you to Gabriella Hanrahan, who, as Don says, is our community liaison officer and has organised this and works tirelessly to promote student volunteering in order to develop students' social conscience. Also, my appreciation to the working group for the very hard job they had in selecting the outstanding member this time, because it's a bit like being a judge on X Factor. All the students who are eligible for the award are stars in their own right, and certainly this is the third year of the award, and we have had at least one, if not more than one, each year, so that's wonderful. So as Don says, this year our outstanding award recipient is Gillian McMahon. She's a recent graduate. She's just finished her degree in Science and Health Informatics, and she was already just this afternoon awarded a Gold Award for her volunteering in 4 different organisations. And she knew very little about this, any of the organisations before she started her volunteering in them in this past academic year. And she brought out what she learned through her volunteering very, very well in her reflective portfolio, which every student actually fills out in order to be considered for the President's Volunteer Award. So the four, very, very briefly, the four volunteering areas that she was involved in were Limerick City's Learning Hub, and you saw the first video was about that today, about providing educational opportunities to students, young people and families in less, where there's more educational disadvantage. She's also involved in Coder Dojo Club, which is a wonderful club for young people to get more experience in programming and finding out about everything to do with programming languages and all that. She's also a keen member of the UL Choral Society, organising all sorts of events and getting people to enjoy singing, and other students, and in organising all sorts of events. And the fourth and last engagement she had in volunteering was with the UL 40 committee. Some of you will know that the university celebrated its 40th year since its first intake of students this past year, and she has been involved in over 60 events, contributing volunteering hours throughout the year. As I said, she reflected all this in her reflective portfolio, because students are asked when they're doing the reflective portfolio to highlight where they have gained experience in the attributes that the university wants all its graduates to have. And again, those 6 attributes are being articulate and knowledgeable, creative and proactive, and collaborative and responsible. Gillian displayed in her reflective portfolio how through her volunteering she took responsibility for her own learning and her contribution to the various organisations with which she involved herself with. She also showed that through her volunteering she moved beyond her disciplinary boundary, her own disciplinary boundary, and to her great delight she realised that she had, in her own words, a talent for teaching, organising and leading projects. In addition, Gillian explained how her academic discipline led her to volunteering Coder Dojo, but volunteering equally enhanced her knowledge of her academic discipline. She explained how her volunteering work in Coder Dojo provided her with an insight into new software and programming languages that she had no knowledge of as a student, but which she very well applied her experience in other areas in learning those languages. Also, as part of her volunteering work, she required her to work collaboratively with employees, with colleagues, with fellow students, with service users, all of those. And as we are probably all aware, collaborative work requires multiple skills: knowledge, communication, creativity, being articulate, and of course responsible to the people we work with. Gillian explained that she developed many of these skills during her volunteer work, and she displayed in her reflective portfolio the value of these skills as she moves forward in her career. The following quote from Gillian's portfolio captures the essence and spirit of UL's President's Volunteer Award. "After volunteering a lot this year, it has already changed my life. It has changed the way I see things, has made me appreciate certain aspects of life more than I otherwise would have, and it has also made me an even more positive outlook, given me an even more positive outlook on life." We wish Gillian and all our volunteers here today every good wish and success for the future. And I now call on Gillian McMahon to accept the 2013 Outstanding Award from our President, Don Barry.